Welcome back to the channel. This is Asa Studio. Today it's another retouching tutorial in Photoshop, and we're going to be retouching this image of this beautiful model on the screen. Alright, so let's jump right into it. The first thing I like doing is to observe what the photo actually need. Now if you check, the first thing I notice is the neck, the color of the neck and that of the face. You quickly notice that the color of the neck is not actually saturated like that of the skin, and we have more skin tone than this one, which is desaturated. Okay, so now we can also see that our teeth is not actually white, and of course the hair is all over and needs to be tidied up, but that's the beauty of the shot. And the background is not too welcoming, so we're going to be tidying that up, and we lost details in the dark, but let's see how we can actually get the photo to stand the way we want it. So let's jump right into it. So the first place to start from is what your eye noticed first, and this is the neck part. So there are a couple of ways to fix that. I'm going to try out two methods, which is going to be fast, but let's see about the hue and saturation, and if that doesn't work, we'll go to the select color range method. Okay, so pick up the end tool and then select a place, and you know that the slider will pop up and the channel will also pop up. So increase, like I used to say, to the extreme, and now we need to move this to where we notice that just that place is selected. So you see that we can actually select a pick point there, but we can use the max tool and just take the brush, make it bigger. Let's make the brush bigger, and I'm going to erase it from our face with a single click. So try to balance the brush and then X to make the foreground color black, and I'm going to click that. So but it's extending. I'm going to hit Ctrl Z to undo that. Okay, so now I'm going to go to the brush settings and make it very hard so as to get the picture. Alright, so now that we gotten the picture the way we want it, I'm going to just position and click, and then we have that. So let's turn it off and on and see. Off and on. So the place we needed to focus on is actually there, so I'm going to bring it down a little and focus it on like this and like this. Okay, so that's okay for me. I'm going to decrease it, and then I'm going to remove it from the hair area. Of course we all know, but the select color range, we avoid all these issues. So let's just turn it off and on and go back to the channel. Go to the red and make this 0. Okay, so now zoom in and then let's balance it. I'm going to take it towards the left and see it's turning purple, so I don't want that. Let's take it toward the right, and it's turning yellow, so let's turn it back to 0. Like I mentioned earlier, I told you it's the saturation, so let's increase the saturation and see how it fixes that. You can see how the two colors are now blending. Alright, so you can see the before and after, and if you want more saturation, you can actually go back to the red and increase it the more, but that's not matching anymore, so now we have it matching. Okay, so if you want the other method, I can quickly show you that. It's just to go through, let me turn it off and go to filter and select color range, and it's going to select that part for you. You can hold down shift and drag more of the colors. You're still going to, and then you can click OK and go to the adjustment, go to hue and saturation, and automatically the mask will be shown. And you can hold down Alt and click on the mask, take your brush and paint over where you don't want to see it, just like that, and boom, the selection has been made. Okay, so now let's go back, hold down Alt, pressing that, and we can actually open up the saturation. I guess this is the fastest method, and increase the saturation, and boom, we get what we need. So just somewhere around there. It's the same as 30, or let's say 30. Yeah, 30 or 29 seems fine. And let's see the value of this one. Go back, red, 30, 39. So that's just the average of the two. Alright, so whichever one you want to use, but I prefer I prefer this one, looks natural, the color range one. So I'm just going to turn this one off. I won't delete it. So now we can create a stem visible layer, Control Shift Alt E, and now we can do some frequency separation. So let's hit Control J twice, and I'm going to come back after the frequency separation. This one, name it color, and this, name it texture. So if you don't know how to do frequency separation, is actually separating the color and the texture from the picture, so you can work on them independently. So for the color, go to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and blur it to some amount. The more you blur, the more the texture. So I'm going to blur it to when I can't see the hair on a skin, on the face rather. So just somewhere around there looks fine to me. And then I'm going to click OK, and turn off the texture, go to image, apply image, and it's an 8-bit. So just put your settings, choose color on the layer, subtract, and you can see the texture has been separated. You can start working on the texture like this though, and you can see the hair and the rest part, but we like changing it to linear light, and it's going to give you the image back. Okay, so let's zoom out, and I'm going to group it together, and I'll start working on them independently. I'm going to go to the color, select the mixer tool brush, and I'll mix the color together. So let's make the brush bigger and blend. Alright, so I've tidied up the photo, and you can see the frequency separation done. I also make sure that some hair that are on top are removed. So before, let me zoom in a bit, and before and after, you can see those hair on her face have been removed. Alright, so now we're going to use selective color to actually make it look more interesting. But before that, let's work on the background. So I'm just going to go back to hue and saturation and pick the select color range, and I'm going to select the background. Hold down Shift and dance around the background, and I'm going to click OK, and it's going to create that for me on the hue and saturation. Okay, so I'm going to hold Alt and click on it, click to show the mask. Let's take the brush tool and Ctrl Z, foreground color, Ctrl Z, foreground color black and white. I want black, so I'm going to paint over face, so I don't want it all over there. So something like this, and hold on Alt and click on it backwards and double click, and this time I want to make it more darker. So but let's desaturate it a little and make the background darker a little bit. This is to make the subject, pop out a little bit more from the background, unlike before. Turn it off and on, off and on. So just to make the background, you can actually take it back and it's not going to look like it's real, but I just want a sweet spot for it, so somewhere around there looks fine to me. And I'm going to create one more adjustment, which is the selective color. Now here on the selective color, let's add in some cyan, bring it to the front, and you see what's adding to the picture. Just take a look at it before, and now it's add that. I'm not going to touch the magenta. I'm going to go to the yellows and add in some yellows to it, and add in some black, and it's going to give us some real skin tones over there. So I'm not going to overdo it, just a little bit, and we're good with that. So to the yellows, and same thing, take the cyan and take the yellows forward, and take the blacks forward just a bit, and let's close it and see the transformation before and after. So that's for that. But the teeth, okay, we want to make the teeth white. We can actually use the hue and saturation, and you can make it appear. Let's increase the hue first, and I'm gonna invert it, Control I, if that method didn't work. So let's cancel, click on the mask, invert the mask, and pick the brush tool. And this is another method, but if it doesn't work, I just want something natural, and I'm going to paint with white and let it appear here, something like this, just for the teeth. And just because of the luminosity, I'm going to go back to width and make it 0, make the value 0, and let's desaturate. So desaturating it, I guess it's actually the best way to do it. Then the other way around, we have yellow and white. Can increase the lightness a bit, but I don't want it looking fake, so I'm gonna leave it like that. Or you want to use, let's try out the other method, which is the photo filter. The photo filter and the blue warming look, and we can close it, create another one which is the black and white, and we can group it together, create a mask, invert the mask, and paint with our brush and see which one works better. So okay, something like this. We can decrease the opacity. So let's decrease the opacity till we get something realistic. So something like that. And let's see for this one and this one. So the two are just the same. So like I said, you can get the same result using the tool method and whichever way you want. Okay, so now let's create a stem visible layer. Create a stem visible layer, Ctrl Shift Alt and then E to create a stem visible layer, and this time around go to camera raw filter.